What's up? This is CheekyCP. This was episode 11, the Black Panther score challenge. And I'm going to show you the beat, and I'm going to break it down for you, show you how I made the beat. So here we go. Hopefully all this works. First time on Logic. Here we go. All right. Okay. So that's the beat. All right. So a couple of things here. I'm not going to be able to kind of break down some of the different samples that I used because I did most of that on Beatmaker 3 on my iPad. And then midweek, I bounced all these tracks down to Logic and finished up the track in Logic. So usually I'm going to play the sample for you and like show you exactly what was going on. This week, I'm not going to be able to do some of those things. So, but bear with me, and I'll just kind of give you the ideas that I was going with for this track. So first off, the score had so many great drum breaks everywhere. And I was telling the guys that like, I could have spent, 3 months, making like 15 different beats off of this score. So what I did was I found a really cool breakdown, which is this little drum sample. And I think it's in the track, the third track on the score, which is called Wakanda. And I believe this is it. And I slowed it down a lot in order to get it to sound like this. So And we've been talking about this a little bit, and I want to kind of do this as a week challenge, but I wanted to kind of take kind of the formula to make like an Afrobeat beat, essentially, and that was the backbone of this. So if you listen to the 2 different kits that I used, I tried to kind of use that formula. So where you hear in a lot of Afrobeat, it's just like ka, 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 or ka, 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 ka. So I kind of went with the first option of those, and I used that as the backbone with that loop that I found. So I really had to kind of find the perfect loop within that track, and then I had to pitch it or slow it down a lot in order to kind of make these 2 tracks work together. So when you hear the groove, this is just a groove. So the cool thing is Logic has these kits, which were an African kit, and they have a bunch of different African drums, which I thought was great. So I just kind of played with these. I didn't go searching for different kits or anything like that. I just used what was already in here. So when you listen to this, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. Djembes, a lot of hand drums, a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of flammed hits, which I think I used one of the, there you go, blah, blah, there we go. So I used one of those for the snare, but really what's driving it is all the shakers. So if you look at this track right here, there's tons of different shakers, and then there's also the, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but the shakere, which is used in a lot of Afro funk, actually. So if you listen to that, this is like, this will keep the track moving, right? So they kind of had like 2 different tones. So the backbone, really, there's no like, you know, big kicks. Like I usually just use like 3 different tones, like a kick, a hi-hat, and a snare. This week it was all about percussion and that drum loop. So that's really what you hear here. And then the rest of the track, I was able to use some hi-hats. So this is actually just taken straight from what I had in Beatmaker 3, was just like an open hat. So that's really the only hi-hat you're gonna hear in this whole track. And I found another great breakdown in the score, which is what you'll hear right here. I put it at the end, which is a djembe. So just a djembe hit to end each loop, basically. The next thing that you're kind of like layering on top of it is just an 808, right? It doesn't really do much until the very end. You'll hear this last bar is gonna kind of just go to the minor third and then do like a quick turnaround at the end, which is what you hear right here. Oh, new note. And then dun, dun, dun. Okay, there we go. So I wanted to keep it really groovy, just so you kind of zone out and like be in this like rhythmic trance, essentially. The other thing I added was some sound effects, which I need to make like a producer kind of like, you know, like tag essentially. And I was messing around with this, which I might use. So that's kind of cool. And then it does something really cool at the end of the phrase. Another little hit. But at the very end, so just kind of like ear candy, kind of just like gluing the whole track together. So that way it's just not the drums. There's a little bit more happening. And then the things that really kind of make the track sound weird is I believe it was in the same track, but it's one of the first 3 tracks in the score. I called it Psycho Violins. And this is what you hear is like this crazy violin stuff. So it sounds really eerie, almost like, I don't even know, like a Halloween song or something like that. And I added pan to it. And then I kind of added a little bit of like tremolo. So it gives it more of like a whirling sound. And right at this point, when I got to this point of the track, I was like, this sounds like it could be like a Missy Elliott song or something like that. Like this is like, I don't know, just one of those like heavy on the beat and, you know, having Missy spit some crazy lyrics or whatever. The last thing, which is, sounds kind of, or last two things, one was still kind of staying in line with the Afrobeat stuff, was I wanted to incorporate like just some chords, and I used the kalimba instrument in Logic, which if you listen to these together, it sounds a little something like this. So it's pan to the left side. So that kind of is that's that like Afrobeat type of just dun, 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 So it's not, you know, too poppy sounding. It's like a weird little demented percussion is what it's called in Logic. And I push it in the background, push it to the left speaker and put some reverb on it just so it's kind of like not so in the front. And then the last thing was in the track, in the score, there was another, just one of those like same thing that Piso sampled, like really cinematic part that's like building up, and you'll hear that they have all these drums like da, 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 and then like a whole symphony is just going like and hitting on a couple tones. And I used that and I basically just dropped it on the pads and played it like it was a keyboard. So when you listen to the part that's I titled Distorted Brass here, that's what this track is right here. So really, when you listen to the actual song, it just, and it's sustained a little bit. And I took that and just, it sustained enough so I could actually use it like a keyboard and hold the note. And I was really just playing in the minor key, so. It almost sounds like a distorted guitar, but it's like kind of like a little grainy and kind of crappy sounding. So that's really the track, and all together you get this like hypnotic thing going on. It just kind of. Da 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 da. All right, so that's the beat this week.